Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. This is G. This is the week of April 13th and the following 7 days. This week, we're going to talk about the nodes. We're going to talk about Jupiter. We're going to talk about Mercury. Taurus season begins. Did I mention there's also a new moon this week? All right, so let's try to start at the very beginning. She is at the critical degree, 28, 29 degrees, because the moon is also in Pisces during the time that Mercury goes to 29 degrees. This tells us our mind and our thoughts and just communication styles, and even are we having a hard time with communication? A lot of folks with Mercury in Pisces have been having difficulty with devices, right? Talking on the phone. Yeah, how many times? I would dial a number and, like, nothing happens, like, many, many times. You press something like 8, 9, 10. Like, what is wrong? Yeah. Mercury doesn't work real well. She's super sluggish. Things are confused, things get lost, things aren't seen in Pisces energy. So with that, uh, 29 degrees, usually a critical point, usually a point where Mercury involved is decisions and communications, but choices and options have to be made. So if you've got anything near that critical 29 degrees in Pisces, there might be a thing where you're like, oh shit, I have to make a decision on this. I don't know what to do. It might not be the best time. You might want to ask if you can get more time. Ask for more time because Mercury's going to move, right? 14th, 15th, Mercury then goes into Aries. Now, there's a window here of weirdness because Mercury in Aries normally can be a quick thinker, a quick communicator, a sharp communicator, a combative communicator, an impulsive communicator, a very assertive communicator. However, when Mercury gets into Aries, it's going to be conjunct Neptune right here. And that's going to slow, well, I shouldn't say slow. Communication can disappear. It can dissolve. Maybe we had an agreement. Maybe there was something for sale. But things get really confusing and the waters get really murky. It becomes like this. Yeah, it can just be confusing communication. How about that? We'll sum it up to be confusing communication. So, with that said, you probably would want to wait. You probably would want to hold off any decisions and choices that you're going to make until we kind of clear all the Neptune energy. Mercury's going to clear that Neptune energy by the 17th. By the 17th, well, that date is important in this chart because that brings up a new moon. A new moon on the 17th. There is a separate video for it. If you haven't watched it, go check it out. It is a new moon in Aries. Fascinating because we'll have Mercury in Aries and it'll have cleared Neptune. So it should be making clearer choices and clearer options. All right. And I will give you a hint. It's rather serious. It's rather serious. And it involves taking steps. It involves something that's going to be for the long term, close to the 29 degrees in Aries. So usually these latter degrees are big degrees. They're big decisions. They're big things. They're like the master's class type of stuff. But remember, Aries in general is freedom and our rights and our autonomy and the ability to identify, something that has to do with my appearance even. We think the head, okay? And we think how Aries energy tends to, well, it tends to act before thinking. I think we're really in a cycle of like the next 10 to 15 days is big. I think it looks big because it looks like we can make progress. It looks like we can be serious about things and not only be serious, but we'll be taking action. And the nodes are leaving the 8-degree mark. And yes, they go from 8 to 7. And this is good because 8 is war, is battle, is tariff, is taxes, is insurance money, super intense energy. I'm not budging, it's very fixed. Number 7 is not like that. Number 7 is more about I'm the diplomat. I can learn to use proper words to bring a little bit of harmony, a little bit of equality, to bring some peace, maybe. 7 degrees talks about partnerships. And it says, well, we got to go along to get along. We got to see, okay, what's really important to you, and this is what's really important to me, and then we'll see how we can kind of work that out for each other, right? So that's what the 7 degree is: cooperation, personal and professional partnerships, and that happens 17th and 18th is when the nodes make that move. The number 7 is actually where Saturn is sitting, and so that adds a lot of long-term commitment energy in partnerships. It can be really positive, that's Aries, because it says we're starting something new. However, because it's in Aries, starting something new, and it's Saturn a long time, it can be where, countries are investing heavily into defense, right? Because we're thinking long term, and we're thinking we had to do a lot of rearranging, a lot of reorganizing, a lot of shuffling around, especially in partnerships. And now, we might have to, just do what we got to do. When we focus on the long term, it's our securities, our long term securities, tangible long term securities. And that brings in Venus energy, our money, our love, our desire energy. It does want peace and beauty and harmony. We think food and farming. We've talked about that, especially with Ceres here. And Ceres definitely is focused on the supply chain. It's at the number 11 and it stays there this week. So it's focused on supply chain energy. And yeah, that takes you back to here again, which is who's controlling what. These ships are moving or they're not moving, right? And again, serious energy with Pluto. Wherever Pluto is, change is the name of the game. Jupiter, the number 17, comes up again: children, fun, romance, joy, creativity. So this can be hearing more justice, possibly for those who have been wronged, especially for children, especially the female children. Possibly there'll be news about the male children because there's no way that there weren't males involved. But for right now, the females and adults using children as toys, basically, as well. Yeah, pedophile stuff. Okay, but maybe some justice. Maybe that's what this Jupiter will bring us. The Jupiter at 17. We just keep our fingers crossed because we can't allow this. This cannot be made to be. Yeah, this can't be. This can't be looked upon like it's a normal thing. We can't accept it. So with that, the Taurus season begins, and this is on the weekend, Saturday, Sunday. It is the sun in Taurus energy, the sun. So what I like about the sun in Taurus is it leans more towards peace. The sun is an authority figure, but that means that on Friday and Saturday, the sun will sit at 29 degrees of Aries energy. Aries is combative energy. It does like to start stuff. So it almost feels as though this new beginning, this new strong face at 29. Hopefully, the United States was smart enough to say, you know what, this crap that we've started, we need to back out of. We do not need to invest any lives, any human bodies, and let's hope that's the case. But I will say that when you have a sun at 29 degrees, I would not bet on that. However, there is a lot of serious energy and cooperation, and we're going to have a huge conjunction before Taurus season begins, before peace loving, oh, I want my creature comforts Taurus season begins. You've got the nodes at 7, and those nodes at 7 degrees are really focused strongly on Mercury at 7, Saturn at 7. So this energy begins. If somebody asked me a question recently about that, they said, "Yeah, you showed these exact things, but would it make sense that they began a few days earlier?" Absolutely, because it's a stellium. Anytime there's a concentration of energy at the same degree, this is kicking off with the new moon. You follow? Most likely. Now, there can be some follow-up energy, right? Because the Mercury's now with Saturn. So we might hear from an authority figure. There might be something about we're slowing down the military. We're slowing down the bodies. We're slowing down our actions with the military. I'm being optimistic in saying that. Doesn't mean it can't happen, but I just want you to know it's an optimistic perspective. But Saturn does typically represent very serious energy and slowdowns. You see? However, it is very serious slowdown energy that speaks to the South Node. Okay. And it is partnerships and the job stuff. But that's not all, right? It can absolutely talk also about those who are service members. It can be the military and the service members as well. So this Sunday, right? You've got all these at 7, but look, then right, we also have this. So I am hoping, especially since Venus in Taurus, and this is where Venus is strong, she's also at a Mars military degree, and she's more about her creature comforts. And she's also conjunct Jupiter and Neptune. Well, so this is that institutional energy. That is Neptune energy, which again is at the Venus degree. You see how this is all connecting, right? There's a lot of objects at a lot of similar degrees that match these objects. And it's the number. It's not my fantasy or my imagination. The number holds a vibration and it has a meaning. And we're all talking the same language. That's the whole point of me showing you all this. It talks the same language. And so the sun in Taurus says, I'm about peace. I am about my money and my values. So what'll it take to make this happen? Look at this. This is on the 19th. On the 19th, so it can be a couple days before, a couple days after, right? If you've got objects at these degrees in your chart, 5 degrees fixed signs, 5 degrees of Aquarius energy, 5 degrees partnerships, a change. This can be sudden. This can be shocking. This can be something you are waiting for, because this screams freedom, right? This screams freedom. But it's group energy, which is important, which is also friend energy. And well, especially on the country aspect, if we're thinking the global stuff, when you have these partners, people who are supposed to be your neighbors when you're countries, because countries really don't have friends. They really just have these sort of partnerships of, I don't know if the word convenience is right. There's another word I was looking for. I can't think of it. But the point is, it's not about love. It's not about, oh, I would do anything for you. It's about, this is what we agreed upon. It's freaking business, damn it. That's what it's about. It's business. But this talks of deep changes within partnerships. And because it's at the 5 degree, because both of them are at the 5 degree, which speaks of somebody in charge possibly, or I should say, and it can be more of the Epstein stuff, because it's showing us the elites, the group energy, and how it was truly a global network and all that nasty stuff, and all the more pedophile crap. But see, so it's a combination, because really all of that would fall under the Neptune stuff as well, because that stuff nobody was aware of, but these were the ultra wealthy, the royal. It's the same thing. Uranus does promise to bring about disruptions. There's the week is filled with a lot of strong, startling, and just unconventional energy, and things that, oh, I didn't expect that. I didn't see that coming type of vibration, because of the Pluto and partnerships, and because of our values and our money and Uranus here. And maybe something happens that brings about peace that kind of takes us by surprise.